This man was a skilled exorcist, but one day he suddenly lost all his spiritual power. After he could no longer see spirits, even his once loyal Shikigami turned against him. One of them began cursing the very house he lived in, hoping that by killing its master, it could finally be free. His daughter didn't want him to know and feel hurt, so she made an excuse to send him to a movie. In the meantime, she asked Natori and Natsum to investigate. The moment Natsum arrived, he was attacked by a spirit. Just when things were about to go bad, another Shikigami appeared and saved him. Realizing this one had no intent to harm, Natsum tried to ask what had happened, but the spirit left without a word. Through his investigation, Natsum learned that out of Takuma's 3 Shikigami, 2 were mysteriously trapped outside the house, trying to get in and cause trouble, while the third had been guarding the home. Takuma returned early from the movie, and to Natsum's surprise, another Shikigami was following him. Natsum quickly pulled Takuma inside and shut the door, waiting until the spirit left before relaxing. Takuma was confused to see strangers in his home, and questioned why Natsum was there. Tsukiko stepped in to explain, but Takuma still sensed something was wrong. They had no choice but to tell him the truth. When Takuma heard that his former Shikigami wanted to harm him, he couldn't bring himself to banish them. He believed it was his fault for not setting them free, but when Natori told him this could put Tsukiko's life in danger, he finally agreed. Natsum, however, hesitated. These spirits had once been Takuma's closest companions. There had to be a misunderstanding, and maybe there was a way to solve this without hurting anyone. Just then, another Shikigami passed by the doorway. Natsum chased after it, determined to find out the truth. He asked directly what he could do to protect Takuma. If it knew the answer, it had to tell him, otherwise he would have to banish the other 2. Natsum didn't truly want to do this, and maybe the spirit saw a bit of its master in him. Finally, it explained everything. The 3 Shikigami had never intended to betray Takuma. When he lost the ability to see spirits, they had planned to stay by his side and protect him, but Tsukiko, afraid they might hurt her father, had plastered protective charms all over the house. The 2 Shikigami happened to be outside that day, and were blocked from returning. Takuma, unable to see them, couldn't answer their calls. Not being very bright, they thought Takuma had abandoned them, so they decided to bring a curse on the house in revenge. The only way to fix this now was for Natsum, who still had strong spiritual power, to forcibly end their contract on Takuma's behalf. The spirit hadn't said anything before, because it didn't want Tsukiko to feel guilty. Takuma grew curious if a Shikigami was nearby. The spirit asked them not to tell him, but Natsum stepped in and said it outright. There was indeed a Shikigami here, and it was deeply worried about Takuma and Tsukiko. Knowing the truth, Natsum refused to simply banish them. He chose a risky release ritual. He had to cover the spirit's nameplate with his own blood, stand inside a magic circle, and use his spiritual energy to snap the plate in half, freeing them. This required the spirit's cooperation. If it stepped out of the circle, Natsum could suffer backlash and even die. They lured one of the Shikigami in, but it was aggressive and refused to cooperate. Then Takuma stepped forward, ignoring the danger, wanting to personally send his old partner away. The spirit didn't try to harm him. Instead, it circled around him, speaking, promising to bring a terrible calamity, and then drive it away itself, just to prove its strength, so Takuma would let it back inside. It swore it would protect him, but Takuma couldn't hear a single word. The spirit only wanted to stay by his side, never realizing it was never about freedom. They had brought the curse not out of hatred, but because they thought Takuma had abandoned them. They believed they weren't strong enough, and if they could show their true power, they could return to the home, and live with him again, just like before. No matter what they did or said, Takuma would never be able to see them.